going on, huh? You're like,
What the heck, man?
That sounds kind of familiar, but it's a little different.
No, the music's still great, but where's the emperors and long live the fighters and all? What the heck? What'd you do?
I just played a different one that I had. Well, because when I licensed the music, it came with like five
Versions?
or six, or I don't know. Yeah, it came with several different tracks. And I was surprised, and I was like clicking through them. I hadn't really listened to some of the others, and I thought, oh, that one's kind of nifty.
It
So
threw
I'll
me
start with
off.
that one. Yeah, I could tell.
I had the upside down face. Listen, what?
Well, there you go. All right, so we're back for episode 12 of the Fusion Underground. I'm your host, Manuel Ramirez, and I'm joined in the virtual studio, as always, by my good friend and brother, Jason Moret. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good. Don't call me sir. Makes me feel like
Makes you feel nervous?
makes me feel old.
You're old?
Yeah.
Why old?
No, because that's you refer to your elders as sir. Yeah, don't do that. I'm not that old yet.
Fair enough.
I'm still just dude.
Still just dude.
Yeah. What's up, dude?
The other dude in the virtual studio.
Yeah, the dude abides.
You know, I have never seen that movie to completion.
Are you?
Never.
We're not friends anymore.
I know.
I don't want to talk to you anymore. No.
Everybody loves that movie, and I tried watching it, and I got, I don't know, maybe 40 minutes in, 30 minutes in, and I was like, I can't stomach this anymore, and I turned it off.
No, I hated that movie the first time I watched it.
Yeah, I hated it. Hated it. I think I got to the part where what's his name pees on the carpet on the rug or whatever.
That's like in the first 10 minutes.
Okay, yeah, I got a little bit further than that. At that point, I was like, what the hell am I watching?
I've seen some worse movies, but no, that one was definitely one I had to watch twice. And then after that, I was like, okay. And then it was on again. I watched it a third time. And by the fourth time, I loved it.
Yeah, I don't think I can watch it that many times.
Obviously not. You made it 10 minutes on try it.
10, 15, yeah, maybe 20 at the most. I don't know. It was like I kind of watched it like that whole time.
The glazed over. What the frick am I watching?
Yeah, the whole time. That's how I sat. And then I was like, screw this. I just turned it off because I couldn't stomach it anymore.
All right.
Well, here we are, episode 12 of the Fusion Underground. Here, for those joining in, listening, who haven't listened before, all of maybe two people. Here at the Fusion Underground, we try to make sense of the world by having principled discussions about such topics as entertainment, current events, politics, and culture. Our mission is to educate people to become critical thinkers so they can live more empowered and happier lives. You can find all of our good stuff over at fusionunderground.net. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/AZFusionUnderground. And if you're not into watching the videos, you can always catch the audio version of the show pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts. So we're on Anchor, Breaker, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, and Stitcher. You can download the RSS feed directly from our website at fusionunderground.net, or just whatever application you happen to be using, just plug in Fusion Underground and we should pop up. We're also on Apple now too. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I got an email. I think it was like maybe 2 weeks ago or something. I don't remember if I told you or not, obviously by your face, I didn't.
Yeah, obviously not.
But I was surprised. Now, yeah, we're published out on Apple, and I didn't do that. Like you're supposed to go through, Apple setup and all of that, or I don't know, from what I understand, I don't know. But I got an email saying, hey, we're now publishing you out to Apple. I think it's because we're releasing shows consistently.
Well, I'll be darned.
I think that's that's how it works, or something like that. So if you're listening to the show, wherever you catch us at, please feel free, please go out there and like the show, give us stars, whatever it is on whatever platform. It helps other people find the show, and helps us get in front of more listeners. And that's always a good thing. Not like we were getting paid for this.
No, no,
Yeah. Yeah.
no.
But we do want to have like tens more people listening. I think that
Yeah,
would be cool.
at least a good baker's dozen would be awesome.
Yeah.
Make us feel legit.
Yeah, absolutely. You can also send us hate tweets on Twitter at the FU Brothers, or you can send us hate mail at contact@fusionunderground.net. So, and we'll read them.
Yep.
We do
Well,
read the hate
and
mail.
we will occasionally read off some love mail too, if you
We
really.
should do that sometime. What we should do is we should collect all of the hate mail together and then maybe do an episode where we just read the hate mail and respond to it.
I think that'd be great.
Yeah. Because I
That'd be
keep them
great.
all. I keep them all.
I believe you.
Yeah.
You don't send
So
them to me because I think you're worried I'm going to get upset or respond. That's probably what it is.
respond.
If we send it to Jason, he'll just respond to it
He'll just
all, and
respond to it.
then we'll lose all 8 of our listeners, and then what
Yeah.
are we going to do?
And then we're screwed. And then we're screwed. So what are we talking about today? I have several times. We're in between our seasons, and the way that we're doing the show is our seasons actually have themes to it. Seasons. I say we just finished our first season a couple weeks ago, so we're in between seasons, but we're continuing to record the show and just having fun and talking about whatever things that we think interest us and things that we think might interest other people. But we're going to be coming up with the entire theme for season 2, and then each of the episodes will be really tied to that theme as we do. So, but this week I got all kinds of stuff on the stack of stuff.
Sweet.
There's quite a bit of stuff. I got some more stupid stuff around COVID that I'd like to share. We don't need to spend a lot of time on it. I know I don't want to spend a lot of time on it either, but it is something that's in the news. There is new and interesting stuff around it that I wanted to share, just because I find it to be completely and utterly stupid. Then there's some stuff going on in Portland. I don't know if you've heard.
No.
The crazy riots and stuff that have been happening in Portland.
Yeah, but I thought everybody ran out of weed and gummy bears and went home.
Oh, no. They've been rioting now for like 56, 58 days or something like that straight. I'm sure they're rioting tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. So we got some stuff related to that. We've got some news out of Seattle as well. It has to do with this whole concept around what's going on in Portland. So we'll talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
And then the one topic that I just absolutely hate. I love to hate it. I guess that's a better way of putting it. And that's my pet peeve around teachers, particularly elementary teachers, high school teachers, that sort of thing. We can talk about college professors and instructors. I have my own opinions about academia, secondary. Is it called? Isn't it? What's it called?
Secondary education.
Secondary education.
Yeah,
something like that. What? Higher education.
Well, I don't know. That takes an assumption that you actually are learning more than what you probably should have in high school or lower grades.
Yeah. So I have a bone to pick with teachers. I always seem to have a bone to pick with teachers, and we'll get into that as well on the show. So I think that'll be kind of quite entertaining.
It should be. I'm entertained just conceptually on how you're going to tackle that particular topic.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I wanted to show you a video though first. I need to get this. I need to get this set up here because I quite frankly I found it. It's funny, but in a really weird and macabre sort of way. So
I don't know whether to be excited or terrified.
There's no sound. There's no sound on this. Okay. So if you're not watching on video, if you're just listening to it here, so this is a scene. I don't know where it's at. It's somewhere outside on a sidewalk. You can see some buildings around, and somebody's filming somebody on the sidewalk. A man who's wearing a looks like a blue suit, and there's something on the ground in front of him. and he's about to bend over to pick that up. So watch what happens here. So he bends down, he picks up this thing and tosses it right into the air. And wait a minute. Wait.
He
Still
bends down,
didn't.
grabs it again.
It still didn't take flight. It's a dead bird.
Is it a dead bird?
It is a dead bird. He's trying to.
Oh,
It's
man.
a dead pigeon, and he he threw it up a third time.
He's fly, little bird.
And these
Join
people
your
keep walking by, and they're like staring at this guy like, what the hell is he doing? Yeah, he found this dead
Oh.
bird and got people to or was trying to make it come to life, I guess.
That's sad, man.
Isn't it kind of sad?
It is.
It's a little funny, but it's also a little sad at the same time.
Yeah, after the first time, I would think you go, well, that thing's dead.
Right. Well, does it really take a first time, or can it not just happen by looking at it?
I don't, maybe he thought it was just stunned. And it needed to be reminded of what the feel of the wind beneath its wings.
Utter craziness.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel bad.
I know. I feel kind of bad for the guy. There was, did you see what happened in the WNBA? We have sports again.
Oh yeah, really?
We have sports again. Baseball started back up this week.
Nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think it was on Thursday, and some teams were selling the ability to put a cardboard cutout of you behind home plate. And they were selling that opportunity. Some teams were selling that opportunity upwards of $500
to put a cardboard cutout of yourself behind home plate.
Yeah, it looked absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute. So, sports started again. They're not selling tickets because you're not allowed to go to the stadium.
Right, COVID.
So, in lieu of that, you can go, look there's me on TV behind home plate. I can see me there. That's okay.
For $500.
For $500.
Yeah.
All right. Well, obviously
Absolutely
we must have
stupid.
had some takers.
Well, yeah, there were probably one of the scenes that I saw, or one of the shots on social media. There was probably about 50 or 60 cardboard cutouts behind home plate.
Oh my gosh!
And it looks like they're sitting in the chairs, so it's essentially from the waist up. Is the cardboard cutout? Yeah. It's not like a bunch of people standing there.
I was gonna say, was it like everybody taking a group photo and you have some people on their knee, lower so the other people can see, or
yeah,
or does that matter?
Like in the chair, they were in the chair, so they took the stadium takes the cardboard cutout, and it looks kind of weird because it's the way they did the cardboard cutout. It looks like there's like a 2-inch, I don't know, white border around your picture.
Oh yeah.
Right?
So everybody's got halos.
Yeah, so everybody's got this white line going around them. It just looked really ridiculous.
I would love to be able to do that just to get, because I wouldn't sit there with a just normal like face on.
Like
you have to do something crazy like,
yeah,
or yes, get my dog, on my shoulders and put her right in front of me, or turn her around and just show its butt. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Just get a big dog butt instead. I'd have way too much fun. I should, you know what? I'm gonna go find out. Let me see if I'm gonna raise $500 from some of my friends to put a dog.
Try to get your picture there.
Or a big horse
ballpark.
butt.
Big horse ass right there.
There's a horse's ass behind home plate. He's sitting right above the umpire on the left-hand side. You see that?
Well, Fox is taking this another step further. They are starting to, I think it was today. I missed it. I didn't see a game. I don't really care. But I think it was games starting today on Fox. They're putting in a virtual crowd filling up the
virtual.
entire stadium, all of this, any stadium that they're showing on TV on Fox, they're putting a virtual crowd in
Which,
in the stands.
how do you do that?
Well, they do it with computers, I would imagine.
So they have CGI fans.
Yeah.
That's probably the first time that there's been no fights or no violence or anything. Do they still do the kiss cam? Because
Well,
I
they did
mean,
the wave. They did
well,
the wave.
okay, probably very well choreographed too, no less.
Yeah. So they're showing people, they hit a home. If a player hits a home run or gets a base hit or whatever, the crowd, jumps to their feet, and it looks absolutely hokey. It looks absolutely
I've
hokey.
got to go check some of that out because
It
that's
reminds me of the back in the mid '90s when Fox first got the rights for hockey. Did you ever see their glowy puck thing that they did?
yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
where they
oh
put
my
like
god.
this little glowing halo around the puck on the ice so that people could see it. It was really distracting. And then whenever a player would do a power shot towards the goal, Fox would do this animation starting at the puck, where the stick makes contact with the puck, and it looked like a laser beam, like the whole
Yeah.
puck would shoot out like this laser blast or something.
It reminded me of the old like NHL hockey on EA Sports video
Yeah,
game.
yeah, it was just like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Yeah, so that was ridiculous. And then there was a there was a WNBA game. I think it was either yesterday or today, and I really don't know who was playing to.
Are those televised?
I don't know.
No, I'm legitimately asking.
I don't know.
I don't know if I've ever seen one on TV. So
I think they were. This was a game played between the New York Liberty and the Seattle Storm, and they walked off. They walked off the court um, when the national anthem played.
wow.
Yeah, yeah. So here's it was a bit ridiculous. So here's a little video from ESPN, um, and
anthem was played. We saw the players leave the floor, go back to their respective locker rooms. One of those actions we'll see throughout the season as part of the social justice initiative.
Yeah, first of many ways that we will see WNBA players using their voices all season long. This is nothing new for these women. They have been proactive when it comes to speaking out on social injustices for the life of the WNBA.
Look at this court though. There's no, I mean, because they're basically playing in a hallway.
Yeah.
And you have this table right here and some chairs
Chairs
and a wall
right.
curtain with Black Lives Matter on the court. They've got tens of fans. I think we have more fans than the WNBA has fans.
I was gonna say.
I think so. I think we do. I don't know why you would do this. And what boggles my mind about it is I don't understand how the league commissioner and the owners are going to allow this to happen. I mean, on social media, there are so many people saying, I'm not going to give them my money. There are a lot of people that they want an escape from all of the craziness of life. And that's one of the things that sports brings for people.
Right.
It's an escape. It's entertainment. Yes, it's mindless entertainment, but there's a drama that happens during a game that is engaging and is,
well,
very
and
interesting to watch.
The other thing too, and maybe this has been my experience and not everybody else's, but I've always been impressed, no matter how much we'll say teams dislike each other or fans dislike each other, and it doesn't matter whether it's professional or even collegiate. I went to college football games where we'll say the ASU Sun Devils and the U of A Wildcats were playing against each other. Yeah, I know. Whatever. And you want to talk about one of the fiercest rivalries in sports.
It's a great rivalry.
And it's phenomenal. And everybody, they hate each other, but they love that they have that. It's almost a hate that bonds them in a weird kind of way.
That rivalry between ASU and U of A actually got ranked as one of the top 3 rivalries in all of sports. All of
I
sports.
believe that. I believe that.
Yeah.
And it was awesome to be
Yeah.
there. And
Yeah.
oh my gosh, you thought people were just gonna like obliterate each other,
Mhm.
but all that stopped when the national anthem played, and everybody stood together, and it was a very sobering moment. And I think all sports have had that. No matter what animosity is there, no matter what else is going on, it's a unifying moment, and that is particularly noticeable at sporting events because of that. And that's what the national anthem was always supposed to be, was a unifying song for all Americans, regardless of race, creed, color, credo, or anything else. And what's being done to that only furthers a divide. It doesn't unify anybody. And I'm disgusted by it. And I know a lot of other people who are diehard sports fans or otherwise who are also disgusted by it. And as long as this continues in sports, I'm not watching any of them. And I know a lot of people like me. I am not alone in that.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a thing about sports if we go to a Diamondbacks game, here in Arizona, or we go to a Phoenix Suns game, or, a Cardinals game or something, we can fill a stadium, and whether you're conservative or liberal, Republican or Democrat, whatever, we can put all of that aside for a few hours. We can come together to celebrate our team.
Right.
And we can all unify by going into that sporting event. And one of the things about playing the national anthem is, even though you have people who are on an opposing team, and you have that rivalry, as you said, when ASU versus U of A happens, that's a fierce rivalry in the state, right? And when you have when you have something like, Sun Devil Stadium, and half of the stadium is maroon and gold and the other half is red and blue, we can, even though the two schools hate each other, they can set that aside for a few minutes during the national anthem and remember that, yeah, we may hate each other's schools, but we're still all Americans. We still all come together at the end of the day. We're still, no matter what, we are all still on the same team.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And with all of this social justice crap that's happening in sports, it's really drawing that line that says, yeah, you can't have that unity there. You can't have those unifying things anymore. And you're going to be reminded of this, and we're going to put it in your face. And I just think it's disgraceful. That's all.
No, it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. There's no such thing as unity anymore. And sports used to, like you said, be an escape from all that divisiveness and all that crap. You could go to a game, even just turning it on the television, if you're sitting at home, and the day-to-day grind and all that crap that we're inundated with just kind of melts away for those handful of hours. And now it's filling it up, and I don't want any more of it.
Well, and keep in mind, we're in an election year. Mm-hmm. So come November, we're going to elect a president, and we're going to reelect the House of Representatives, and we're going to reelect, a third of the United States senators,
right?
Along with a good clump of governors but we're a really divided country right now in politics.
Yeah.
And people want to escape from that. They want to be able to escape from that. Sports should be that escape. And sadly, you can't even escape it from there. Mm-mm. You can't escape the craziness, the clown world that exists, and kind of get some solace in sports. And that's a shame.
Well, and you look at, and I'll take a leap on that. If you have nothing that unifies us as Americans, then people get inundated with nothing but divisiveness and a sense of division, and then they get paranoid and defensive.
Right.
I mean, why the hell do you think guns and ammo sales are through the roof? Record numbers right now, beyond anything we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And you're taking away any sense of security by saying you want to defund the police. I mean,
Yeah.
what do you think is going to happen here very, very soon if you keep
Yeah.
this stuff up?
So I have this other video here that I wanted to show. Switching gears here. This one is kind of funny. This young man here in the back seat of this car. So he's in this car with his family, and his dad and I think it's his two brothers. Older brothers are in the car as well. But this young man he's received his very first paycheck. His very first paycheck.
Awesome.
So let's watch this, see what happens.
Come on, man. Got his first check. First check ever in life, boy. Gonna see what it do. And wait, we ain't gotta say how much it is, man. But see his face when you open it up, man. Wait, Jojo. How does it feel opening up this first check, man?
Oh, come on, Pop. Let me just open it up.
All right, man. All right.
What you just... You need this.
You really don't. Why your face like that, Jojo?
It's probably the taxes. It's probably the taxes.
Jojo,
Man.
How much you get?
Look at him. He's like,
Jojo,
He's
what's
like,
the
something's
noise?
wrong. I gotta go.
Oh yeah, they took out taxes, Joe. Welcome to the world.
What? Jojo,
Yeah.
where you going, man?
It's a part of life.
Oh, you mad? Oh.
Yeah, they took out the taxes right here.
You don't know how the taxes hit, boy. Jojo, where you going?
Yeah, because they
Where he at?
where they go?
Look, where he going?
it goes on for another minute, but it's essentially the same stuff.
He was excited about his paycheck, and then he saw taxes, Medicare, Social Security.
Oh my
Wait,
god!
what? And his dad. Yep. Welcome to the world.
Welcome to the world. Welcome to the real world, son.
Yep.
I loved that so much. I gotta.
That
and
was
I love
good.
I love Pops in that video.
Yeah.
Like he knew it was coming. Like Pops knew.
Yeah.
He's like,
yeah.
I'm gonna record this here.
Well, and you know what? I'm glad he was really excited. It's his first ever paycheck. That's cool.
Yeah.
And you know what? I had the exact same reaction when I got my
Yep.
first paycheck. I was like, oh, I got paid, payday. What am I gonna?
And you know when you're
buy
like
with all
when
my money?
you're 16 or 17, you're working that job, right? You do that. I'm sure you did it too, right? Okay, well I'm making like, at the time I was making like $4.25 an hour.
Yeah.
But it was like, okay, how many hours did I work? And you're doing the math and you're like, ooh, I'm gonna have $200, and then you get
Right.
that check and you
It's like $60.
Yeah.
Like, wait, what? What do you mean?
man,
I don't understand.
that's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Take it back inside. Wait, I don't
Right.
understand why is all this stuff not? Why is my money not my money? Where's my money?
Right.
Yep. Oh, great.
Good stuff. Good stuff. There was so I found this article. This is out of California, Palm Beach County. And this is an interesting, so I'm going to read part of this article here. It's from 12 News, CBS News out of Palm Beach, West Palm Beach. Oh, I'm sorry, West Palm Beach, Florida. West Palm Beach, Florida. It says here, a 60-year-old man who died from a gunshot wound to the head, a 90-year-old man who fell and died from complications of a hip fracture, a 77-year-old woman who died of Parkinson's disease. These are some of the deaths in Palm Beach County recently and incorrectly attributed to COVID-19.
Yeah. You see my shocked face?
Yeah.
For those of you listening, it's not very shocking.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it's I'd like to say I'm shocked and appalled, but I'm not. As of today, even with the numbers reported as they are, with many, many, many examples, just where you're at, we still have yet to reach a number matching a normal flu year. Just throw that out there.
Well, and I think we're something like, I think worldwide, we're something like 50, what is it, like 50,000, or maybe it's in the US, like 50,000 deaths away from the swine flu. Like we still have not yet reached
Correct.
the
Yeah.
number of deaths from the swine flu back in, what was that, 2010, something like that, 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
And we didn't have any shutdowns from swine flu. So we had more deaths from the swine flu than we do from COVID. And we didn't shut the economy down when we had the swine flu. We didn't do anything like that. Nobody wore masks. Remember, nobody wore masks. This article goes on to say that there were 500, and so the 12 News here, they were able to get a spreadsheet from the medical examiner's office to look over the deaths in the county. And out of 581 deaths on the spreadsheet, only 169 deaths were listed as COVID without any contributing factors. That's kind of unreal. You're talking we're talking over 300, almost 400 deaths that have some other type of complication. And it's very likely that those patients died due to the other complications, like a gunshot wound to the head.
Or the 20-year-old that you mentioned the other day that died of a motorcycle accident.
Motorcycle accident.
Yeah. I don't believe that I would say maybe a quarter. We'll go so far as to say 25% of what's actually being recorded as COVID deaths right now are legitimately COVID related.
Yeah. It's just, it's unreal. Anyway.
Yeah.
You know, what's also amazing to me, and this came out of the CDC. I don't have the number right in front of me. I saw it earlier this week and I should have bookmarked it. My apologies. But the CDC, somebody pulled the numbers from the CDC based on deaths from pneumonia, cancer, heart attacks, that kind of thing. And taken from the years like up to 2019. I think it was like 2015 to 2019, you know, and they were really, really high. It was a high number. And then compared to this year, and the overall trend for heart attacks, and even cancer was in there. Cancer was part of it as well. So, you know, cancer deaths, heart attacks, pneumonia deaths are now a fraction of what they should be on an annual basis because everything's being reported as COVID.
Correct.
If you got COVID, if you tested positive for COVID and you die from cancer, you're being listed as a COVID patient, as a COVID death.
Correct. Yep. No, I was looking at that, actually just talking with my wife about it as well. Flu, pneumonia, any of those, they are at, I think it was something like 15% of what is normal. And that's, keep in mind, dying from the flu, dying from pneumonia, dying from cancer, heart attack, complications during surgery. It's awful. It's all awful.
Terrible. Yeah.
But if you look at the historical data over the last 10 years, it's fairly consistent with what we call minor fluctuations due to either climate or whatever else is going on in the world.
Yeah.
When you see a sudden drop as of 2020 down to where it's only 10% of what has been normal for the last 20 years, that should make you go, wait, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean? How did that happen? Did we suddenly cure cancer and pneumonia and heart attacks and surgery complications all in one? No.
Yeah.
That's not true at all. And keep in mind, COVID or the current coronavirus is a derivative, just like pneumonia, flu, the common cold, or any of those, or SARS, as you mentioned, or even the swine flu. These are all types of coronaviruses that are out there. So, yeah, I'm sorry if you actually believe any of that being reported right now. I feel bad for you.
Yeah, it's little, and again, and I said this last week. What makes me so mad about this is because we're doing all of this stuff to our economy. People are dying in hospitals from whether it's cancer or heart disease or whatever, and they're dying alone. They're not able to have their loved ones in there with them. And all of this is being caused because of our reaction to COVID, but our reaction to COVID is being driven by data that's absolutely garbage. Now, this could very well be, the next Ebola. I don't know, but the thing is you can't. If it is something like Ebola, if this were an Ebola epidemic, for example, and people's insides were literally liquefying, then you need to understand what the problem is so that you can adequately fight it. We are painting a very, very twisted and warped picture around COVID because our data is absolutely garbage. It's absolutely garbage. And that's what makes me mad.
And I can appreciate that that's what makes you the most upset. And I don't disagree with you for being upset for it. But I think what pisses me off the most is the deaths that are absolutely COVID related for people who have never had it, who are being basically murdered because of the response that we have had to this.
Right.
And I'll give you an example. I know one person in particular who was on palliative chemotherapy treatments once per month so that they can continue breathing because they had lung cancer. And they were not able to get that treatment, not because they had COVID-19, but because we closed the friggin' chemotherapy centers down because of our idiotic and absolute knee-jerk stupid reaction to this. And that person ended up dying, and it was absolutely because of COVID and our response to it, not because that person ever had it. That is disgraceful, and it's idiotic. And the fact that this is continuing to be pushed down our throats the way it is not only reckless, it's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
That's what pisses me off.
Well, I've got a little bit more information around COVID, around the whole coronavirus. I'll let this sink in for a minute.
Oh,
Coronavirus from Canada. Use glory holes for safe sex. They seriously. So glory holes could be the key to having safe sex during the coronavirus pandemic, at least according to Canada's top health experts. This is literally the experts saying that the sexual suggestion comes down from the British Columbia Centre for Disease Control. And while it's not quite the same as a recommendation from our beloved Dr. Anthony Fauci, it still holds water. It still holds water.
Yeah.
So they give a listing of things, a bullet point list of things that you should do before and after sex. Make sure to wash your body with soap and water. Wash your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. Wash sex toys thoroughly with soap and water before and after use. Do not share them with multiple partners. This is just stupid. Wear a face covering or mask. Heavy breathing. Do you see what we're doing? We're making decisions like this because we have no idea what the problem is. Oh. Heavy breathing during sex can create more droplets that may transmit COVID-19. Oh. just the heavy breathing?
Oh.
Avoid or limit kissing and saliva exchange. Limit. So if you do it just a little bit,
okay. You know, if you absolutely must kiss your husband or wife during sex, just do it once or twice.
Now, here's the thing. I guarantee you, this is not for married couples. This is for people that are out there having anonymous sex with strangers. Yeah. This is what it is. Oh, it goes on. It says, choose sexual positions that limit face-to-face contact.
Doesn't that go against what we were taught during sex ed?
Everybody listening to this right now, all of a sudden
is embarrassed because they're thinking back to conversations they didn't want to have with their parents about sex.
But this is my favorite. Use barriers like walls, i.e. glory holes, that allow for sexual contact but prevent close face-to-face contact. Yeah. The Canadian CDC breaks it down like this. If you're going to have sex during the pandemic, it's a hell of a lot safer to use barriers like walls, i.e. glory holes, that allow for sexual contact but prevent close face-to-face contact. New York City actually recommended walls back in June, but did not outright call them glory holes. Sorry, New York City, Canada is holier than thou. Folks on social media are having a field day tweeting creative ways to use walls and barriers, even suggesting things like plexiglass shields, like in grocery stores, except for glory holes, holes in sheets, mail slots, doggy doors, and donuts. No mention of Jewish donuts.
No mention of bagels.
Right. If glory holes sound a little too raunchy for you, don't worry. Doggy style seems to be kosher too. The BC CDC also recommends choosing sexual positions that limit face-to-face contact. Yeah. We're sure you can think of a few options that fit the bill. This is right from TMZ.
Okay. No, I have to ask this, and I'm going to just pose this question out, or this idea out.
Yeah, sure.
Without wanting an answer, but something to really think about.
Mhm.
So this is a legitimate recommendation, it very serious recommendation.
Yeah.
From the British Columbia Center for Disease Control.
Correct.
These are the same people who are telling you, me, and everyone else what we are supposed to do, what we are expected to do, and what we should do to protect ourselves during this time of pandemic.
Yeah.
Does that not raise an eyebrow out there for anyone? These are the same people that you're putting your quote unquote faith in right now to tell you what to do and how to protect yourself. If that does not cause you to stop and think for just 1 second that maybe the people who are quote unquote leading the charge and taking care of your safety and livelihood for you and your family, maybe they don't really know what they're doing. Is it possible?
Well,
Just putting that out there.
Of course it's possible. It's definitely possible. But here's something a little different. This was Chicago the other night, July 23rd, so 2 nights ago. Are you ready for this one? So remember, we can't go to church, right? We cannot go to church. We cannot congregate. There are people that cannot hold funerals for 50, 60, 70, 100 people.
Right, because you need to be social distancing. We don't want to congregate with a bunch of people, all that kind of stuff. Except unless you're a protester, then those rules don't apply.
Right. Look at all of these people.
Yeah,
there are hundreds of people here. And people have masks. Some people are wearing masks, but others aren't. I'm sure her parents are very proud of her.
Yes.
I just, you're allowed to protest. You're allowed to go out there. I mean, the government is even saying, go out and protest, local governments anyway.
Yeah.
Protesting is fine. And local governments are even saying, if you can't gather in large groups unless you're protesting.
Correct. Yeah, your barbecue with your friends in your backyard is absolutely prohibited. But if you want to go out and hang out with with hundreds of random strangers in the street, then by all means go. Don't wear a mask.
Right. By all means.
We don't want to interfere with your ability to speak freely.
But I do love this. So after George Floyd was killed, I should say after he died. I don't know if we really know exactly the cause of the case, but anyway, that might still come out, especially in the trial. Anyway, after George Floyd's death, A&E killed their show Live PD. I guess that
Right.
was a show like Cops. I never watched it.
Yep.
But now latest ratings reports have come out, and A&E have lost 49%, almost 50% of their viewers.
Their viewership. Mm-hmm.
Their viewership has just absolutely plummeted.
Right.
And if their viewership has plummeted, well, then so has their revenue streams. This is another one of those things: go get woke, go broke, kind of, kind of idea, kind of mentality. I think it was.
And
go ahead.
No, Live PD was actually extremely popular. It was rumored to actually be the new age version of Cops, and almost to the point where they thought, well, Cops wasn't going to exist if Live PD continued to pick up momentum, because it was gaining a lot of viewership. I mean, day by day. So anyway.
But Red Bull is one of these companies that is fighting back now.
Oh, really?
Yes. Red Bull decided that they were done with the social justice warrior crap, and they actually ended up purging some of their executives. So here's an article that I have about the story. It says Red Bull just reminded their wokest employees who calls the shots in a total massacre of social justice warrior employees. Not only were the top two North American executives fired, but so were entire marketing teams and culture teams that were dedicated to pushing the lie of systemic racism. Red Bull has just shown the way forward for all who want to prevent a total Marxist-style takeover of business and government in America. There's no appeasing these people. The only way forward is to fire them as quickly as possible and with no mercy. Err on the side of firing everyone if need be. Now, of course, this particular article is written with a lot of bias against the social justice warrior moniker or what have you.
Right.
But from the Wall Street Journal, this is what the Wall Street Journal said. The maker of Red Bull energy drinks has replaced its top U.S. executives amid internal tensions over the closely held company's response to the Black Lives Matter movement. Red Bull, the Austrian company that makes the drink, said Stefan Kozak, its North America chief executive, and Amy Taylor, its North America president and chief marketing officer, have left the company. It named other executives to temporarily fill the roles. Red Bull didn't give a reason for the changes, which were announced in an internal memo Monday. Ms. Taylor had been working on diversity and inclusion efforts within the company with Mr. Kozak's support for several years, but was met with opposition when she began advocating for Red Bull to be more overt in its support of racial justice in the last month. Some U.S. employees had recently raised concerns about what they considered the company's inaction on the Black Lives movement. So it appears that the main parent company said, you know what, to hell with this. We're done.
Yep, I'm done. We're not going to play a part of that. Well,
Good
for them.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Good for them.
Now, if somebody would just go after Nike, Amazon, and FedEx, that I'd be happy, because those guys are on my hit list right now.
Right. So, yeah, I thought that was fantastic. And you know what? Red Bull was applauded on social media for it.
Good.
Because people are sick of this. People are absolutely sick of this.
Well, and I think, okay, as a Joe Q public individual, you see it on TV, you see it everywhere you go. Shoot, I think I even saw, I don't know, I think it was an Old Navy commercial that was talking about all the things that we should be celebrating and all the transformative things in our current time. And it went through pretty much every social justice movement out there right now. You saw a little snippet of it all. And even I got thinking, gosh, am I the only one who is just fed up with all this social justice stuff? Whether I agree with any one particular piece of it or not is irrelevant. But it's just everywhere. And I think I had a thought even today. I don't think that it's nearly as popular as what I'm being fed to believe it really is. And because it's getting all of the attention right now, it seems even bigger than what it is. Now, don't get me wrong. This is probably the biggest I've ever seen it impacting my life. But I don't believe that there's really that much. I don't believe the movement's as big as the movement likes to think it is right now.
Oh, I would agree with that. I would agree with that. But I think there are some companies like Red Bull who have realized that the movement, Black Lives Matter in particular, and as well as the partner organization called Antifa, I think they're realizing that, well, these are Marxist organizations, literally, and that's not that's not me coming to that conclusion half-cocked. That is literally the words that are coming out of the Antifa and BLM movement.
Mm-hmm.
And all you have to do is, they have websites. All you have to do is go to their websites and read the stuff that they are demanding.
Right.
And it just, their demands alone will tell you that they're a Marxist organization. They're pushing for communism. And you look at the riots that are going on in Portland, and there are people there that are rioting who are waving, the old Soviet Union flag. They have it painted on shields. I saw one video where somebody had a shield made up to protect them from, the canisters, the tear gas canisters, etc. And they had the state of Oregon painted on the front of their shield, the outline and everything, right? And then the whole state was painted red with the hammer and sickle in the corner. I mean, these people are calling for communism in the United States, and so I think there are companies that are realizing this and recognizing that we don't want to be associated with that crap. It's one thing to stand for social issues that all of society find important,
Mm-hmm.
but it's another to stand for social issues that only a very select few are supportive of. And and when those select few are calling for Marxism, well, if I were a company, I wouldn't want to be associated with that at all.
No, I don't know any company in existence who would want communism, because the fact of the matter is capitalism is pretty much the only way companies in existence exist. Because if communism is instituted, then you become a property of the government for equal distribution, and then your company's gone. So I don't see how any company out there could openly want communism, at least if they actually know what communism means. But then again, I think we have a whole bunch of very young, and bless their hearts, ignorant individuals who are unfortunately getting into positions of power in some companies that don't even know what the heck that's all about.
Well, speaking of communists.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Eyebrow raise.
I'm going to switch gears here to my.
I don't think you're switching gears that far.
We're not switching that far, but we're off the Black Lives Matter thing, and I'm switching to teachers. So I know there are a lot of people out there who know that the schools are shut down. And I'm talking about K through 12, K through 12 education. Schools are shut down. A lot of districts have been wrestling with what they're going to do for the fall. Some are doing hybrid approaches, a little bit on campus, a little bit online. Parents are concerned. They don't really know what's going to happen, right? Because everybody's terrified over COVID, right? But the teachers union in Los Angeles has issued a list of demands that they want to have met by the state of California before they open up. And this is an article here from the Hoover Institution out of Stanford University. It says, teacher union demands far left economic policies before reopening classrooms. United Teachers Los Angeles, the union that represents about 30,000 Los Angeles K-12 public school teachers, has demanded that far-left statewide economic policy changes and social justice initiatives be accepted in return for reopening Los Angeles school classrooms once restrictions are lifted. Every stakeholder in California's public education system should be alarmed, because these demands, which range from defunding police to imposing large wealth tax, go far beyond the scope of any union negotiation. If implemented, these policies would substantially depress living standards and the quality of life for most of California's 40 million residents. What does this have anything to do with COVID? It has absolutely nothing to do with COVID. Absolutely nothing to do with keeping kids safe.
No. They find themselves in a position of what they consider to be power, and they are manipulating the situation so that they can further an agenda. And unfortunately, these are the same people that don't understand why there's a lot of people out there stating and believing and that this COVID pandemic is being politicized and that there's political movement behind it. Now, I am not saying whether I agree or disagree with that or not. It has nothing to do with the fact, but anybody out there should be able to see why that argument exists when you have teachers or whomever, it doesn't matter, utilizing this situation for political gains. And when when you're talking about social justice issues, those are political movements.
Yeah.
They are.
The article here goes
Surprised
on.
that they're not raises wanted in that with as well.
Well, hold on.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Hold
Go
on.
ahead.
It says, in addition to defunding the police, they are demanding, the teachers union, single payer, government provided health care, full funding for housing California's homeless, a shutdown to publicly funded, privately operated charter schools, and a new set of programs to address systemic racism. To pay for all this, they want a 1% wealth tax, a 3% income surtax on millionaires, and increased property taxes on businesses. They also want $250 million from the federal government. Okay, so hold on. A couple of things here. Couple of things here. So, of course, they want personal goodies. They want single-payer government health care. They don't want to have to pay for any kind of health care.
Health insurance, right.
Right. But they also want to shut down charter schools who get money. Now, this is one of the reasons why I hate teachers.
Okay.
This is one of the reasons why I hate K through 12 teachers. If your product is so absolutely fantastic, if you are the best frickin' teacher on the frickin' planet, and you are molding the minds of the future, and if your school is rated as a top school, then parents will be beating down your door to send their children to your school.
Agreed.
If your product sucks, then the only thing that you can do to stay in the market is to shut down the competition.
Agreed.
These public school teachers' product sucks, and they are trying to shut down charter schools because there are a lot of parents who are trying to beat down the doors of charter schools that are opening up around the country, and the waiting lists are just outstanding.
Yeah, they're astronomical.
They're astronomical here. And so the public school teachers, because they're crap, because the public education school system is crap, who doesn't believe it's crap? I want to go out there and poll anybody. Everybody knows that the public school system is trash. Everybody knows it. There is not a single person in the United States who thinks that public education is the gold standard the world over. Now, the only people that may think that are public school teachers.
Right.
Because they don't want to admit how ridiculous their jobs are and how ridiculous they are as teachers. And I guarantee you that if any one of these public school teachers had even a chance of going to some of these charter schools where parents are beating that down the doors to get their kids in there, that these teachers would probably jump at the opportunity.
I don't know if I agree with that 100%.
Well, I would say the good teachers would probably love to.
Bingo.
The good
That's
teachers.
what I think.
The bad teachers probably don't want to go there because they know they would likely be fired.
Right.
They wouldn't be able to pass muster.
And results, and they don't want that.
The only reason why you want your competition shut down is because you know you cannot compete.
Yep.
That's the only reason why. Or if you're just a big corporation and you want to muscle the competition out of the area, right? And that we see that happen all the time with especially with like pharmaceutical companies. They use the government to create such high hurdles that it's almost impossible for an upstart pharmaceutical company to get started because there are so many regulations that have to be met. And they create these high levels of regulation to keep upstart competitors from entering the marketplace. But this is an example of this. This is an example of this where the teachers have a crap and an absolute shitty product, and so they want to get rid of charter schools. And then, and to top it all off, not only do they want to increase taxes on their own people in California, and if you're in California, get the hell out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're increasing property taxes on businesses. That means property taxes on all businesses. You know how many small businesses are in California?
Yep.
And that's going to be, you're taking money out of middle-class Americans who own a lot of these small businesses or these simple franchises. If you go to McDonald's and you think, well, it's just McDonald's, it's a big corporation. No, 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 no. Most of those McDonald's, for example, are franchised. They're small business owners. You're going to increase the taxes on them. And then they also want to just stick it in, to just like tell us to bend over and take it. They want to stick the federal government with a $250 million tab. Well, who pays that? That's you and I.
That's me. That's you.
And that's anybody who's listening to this show. California is coming after your tax dollars. They want you to pay for all of this crap or part of it.
Yep. And for what? What is that $250,000 just here you go slush fund go to?
Well, of course it probably goes to teachers, to teacher salaries.
Right. This
is absolute. And here's the thing though. We see this also happening in Arizona.
Oh yeah.
This is an article from the AZ Mirror. And the article is titled Teachers Parents Beg Ducey to Delay Opening Schools and Provide Full Funding.
Wait, what?
Teachers' parents beg Ducey to delay opening schools and provide full funding. So several years back, there were some types of negotiations that were made with the state of Arizona and the school system, and their budgets were cut. And they've been fighting to get, the teachers have been fighting. They keep saying we need to be back at full funding. You know, I have friends who are teachers who tell me, well, yeah, we're still not back up to the funding levels we used to be at around like the year 2000. Okay, you know what? I really don't care anymore, because every single time I turn around and there's a ballot initiative that I have to vote for, there's some stupid tax that's you're trying to hit me for more money to go to schools. And of course, everybody says, well, it's for the children.
It's for the children.
It's for the children. Hell, somebody from downtown Phoenix could write a bill wanting hookers and blow. All they have to do is say it's for the children and wrap some kind of school funding title around the bill. But really deep down inside, it's just because a politician wants more hookers and blow. And you know what? The voters of Arizona would gobble it up and they would love it. And they would say, well, we got to vote for it because it's for the children.
Right.
My God. Here's this article. It says Mabley Munoz is not typically outspoken. She described herself as an introvert. But on Tuesday morning, the public elementary school teacher was at the Arizona Capitol and had strong words for Governor Ducey, who she thinks is putting children, teachers, school staff, and their families in danger by tying school funding to in-person student attendance amid the COVID-19 pandemic. My God. You know.
Well, so if I understand what was happening correctly, so maybe you know, because this is quite interesting. So I believe Governor Ducey, if I remember correctly, was actually saying, all right, I will fund the schools and your budget will be based on the amount of students actually in attendance. So if
Correct.
you have 50% of the students actually show up to go to school, then you should be able to take care of those 50% with about 50% of the dollars attached to it.
Correct.
You don't need 50 teachers to teach 10 kids. So not going to do that. But if you can get full attendance and provide a safe environment for them, then you get your full funding.
Correct.
That sounds like, I don't know, business.
That's what happens anywhere else we go.
Yep. Any others? And if you are going to quote unquote strike and say, nope, it's not a safe environment, I don't want to be there. Okay. You know what? That's fair. Then don't. That's great. Right. Put out an ad out in the paper that we have an opening down at Joe Blow's school for kids. And we need 50 teachers because the 50 we had just decided they didn't want to go back.
Right. And
I believe that there's actually a lot of teachers in this state alone who are not working because jobs aren't available, who would probably love to teach.
But they're probably going to continue to get a paycheck. I don't know. I haven't heard anything related to that. if the teachers are going to continue to get a paycheck, because they enter into contracts. From what I understand, the public school teachers, they sign a contract. It's typically a year contract, and the contract kicks in at a certain date. So they're probably still going to get paid. This article goes on and it says, Governor Ducey, you don't care about our children, said this Miss Munoz. You don't care if the children die and the families die, but we do. We are right here asking you protect our children. Again, they're talking about this as if it's you get it and you're guaranteed to die, like it's Ebola. They're talking about this like your insides are liquefying and nobody can survive this thing, which is absolutely untrue. There's a picture here of this woman in the article, and she's got sunglasses on and she's wearing a mask, but the mask isn't even covering her nose. And she's talking to reporters here. The reporters are right in front of her. And I'm like, it's not even covering her nose, for crying out loud. And yet this woman is freaked out about COVID, but she can't even wear a mask correctly. She, oh my God. While Ducey pledged $270 million to help schools reopen amid COVID-19. Wait, what's that? Yep. Wait, what? So the state is already pledging money, but they want more. Munoz said that it is a pittance for a system that serves 1.1 million students in over 700 districts and charter schools. You know, I can't even read anymore, because this is just, you know, here's the thing that, the thing that bugs me about teachers. One of the things that bugs me about teachers, what has always bugged me about teachers, is teachers are the first ones that complain. Well, we don't get paid that much money. We need to get paid more. And they always go back to the well, always wanting more money. Can anybody tell me, in your entire history of existence on this earth and in this country, has anybody ever before commented that teachers have made a lot of money?
No.
Because I want to know why people go into the profession. Have people been misled? If you went to college to become a teacher, to become a K through 12 teacher, were you misled? Did people tell you that you're just going to make buku bucks if you become a teacher? Did people put that pay up there with mechanical and chemical engineering, or with that of surgeons, brain surgery? Who is going into college thinking they're going to make a lot of money as a teacher? Nobody has ever gone to school to become an elementary school teacher thinking that they were going to make crap tons of money. And now they get out there and they're not making crap tons of money, and suddenly they're shocked. And I'm supposed to deal with this? Are you insane? And I'll tell everybody the exact same thing I tell all of my teacher friends. Quit your job. Mm-hmm. You have a choice. You don't have to go back to the classroom. You don't have to put yourself in danger if you're so terrified. You don't have to go and make a pittance of the dollars that you claim that you make. Quit. Make a choice. Decide. Go get another job. Quit whining about it. Because every American who doesn't make enough money that they think that they should make, they can make a choice. They can make a decision. They can quit their jobs and go find a different job that pays more.
Yep. There's a lot of problems though with that idea. Just keep in mind, those other jobs that pay more, you have to actually work all year long. It's a true story. You have to show up. Some of them even make you work weekends.
Well, these teachers are already complaining that they work weekends and they work nights and they don't get 3 months off. They're already saying, well, they tell me all the time, well, I have to grade papers and I have to create education plans and I have to spend my weekends grading those papers. And I sometimes work until 7:00 at night. Well, so do I. And so do many other Americans.
Yeah, that's right.
And I don't get vacation time. I don't get the kind of vacation time that these people do, that teachers get.
Yep. And those other jobs, I don't know, you get held accountable for performance and things like that. That's That's tough, man. You know, it's tough out there. If your job is to actually teach people something, and by the end of the day they don't know it and they can't learn it, and you know, in other jobs you'd probably get fired. But
Or
so
not
you
if you're a
know,
teacher.
if you're a teacher, and maybe that's part of the difficulty for some teachers to go find one of those other jobs, because you know, yeah, they get that summer off, and they don't have to actually teach anybody. They just have to make sure that they're there at least 4 days out of the week. And yeah, you know, it doesn't matter whether everybody actually knows English or knows math or knows how to put a sentence together, or you know, can do any of that kind of stuff. So maybe it's not that bad of a job.
Yeah, you know, and I know the teachers out there, they were the people that I know who are teachers are gonna say, well, if we're not going to be teaching children, well, then who's going to teach children? You know what? Somebody else will.
You know, there
Somebody else
is
will. And quite frankly, it's not your problem. It's the parents' problem. If
there's a
parents want their kids educated, they'll find a way to get it done.
there's a K through 12 school up here. It's charter school, who actually tackled that very problem, and they don't hire teachers to teach their kids. You know what they've got teaching math, as an example? A mathematician. You know who they have teaching the science class? A scientist. They employ working professionals, or former working professionals, who are doing this instead, actually teaching the subjects on things that they know, and they're not hiring teachers, and they're getting paid a lot. But you know what's happening? They are setting records for the state for college entrance exams and testing, and they're doing amazing things up here. So there's other ways. There's other ways besides hiring a teacher.
Right. Because nature abhors a vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum. And if all of the teachers were to quit tomorrow and they weren't going to, and they didn't show up, and they weren't going to show up, well, quite frankly, it's not my responsibility to teach any other people's children. It's not. And it's not your responsibility to teach other people's children. You know what? You would find a way to get your kids the education that they need, and so would many other Americans. They would find a way to get their children educated, whether that means homeschooling. You know, local communities are banding together now, and they're creating these, you know, where there might be one family who's doing homeschooling, and so they're opening it up so that other local families in their local neighborhoods can drop their kids off and do a homeschooling all together. They're doing like these homeschooling co-ops. And those seem to be working out quite well. There are plenty of other charter schools that are around that would take up the slack. There are other private schools out there. There are, you know, certainly religious private schools, for example, that would take up the slack. There are a number of things. There are online schools. I mean, our local school system is already going online for K through 12 because of COVID. Well, there are other charter schools out there that are fully online, that people can send their children to. And if they're going to have to learn online anyway, then who cares if the shitty public school teachers are teaching it or not, because there's somebody else over here who's willing to do it. And they may be just as shitty of a teacher, but guess what? It's not worse than what's going on in the public school system. It just boggles my mind. It really infuriates me, because the other thing that I hate to listen from teachers or from people who support teachers is that the profession is this noble profession. We put teachers up on these gigantic pedestals, and we sing their praises as if they have angelic wings, as if when you come out of college with a K through 12 degree, you know, for early childhood education or whatever, and as long as you get hired into a middle school or an elementary school, that somehow you get your angel wings and you have halos. And anytime you walk into a room, the clouds should part and angels should sing and chimes should ring and crap like that. No, you're not special. Yes, I understand teaching children is hard. It's difficult. I get it. I understand that it should be a profession that we celebrate and we hold up in high esteem. We absolutely should. But when you're shitty at your job and our testing rates are subpar, last week we talked about the remedial programs for college kids. So these shitty teachers aren't preparing students for college anyway. Our test scores, our education system is a joke, and everybody knows it. Every single person knows it. And yet teachers go out there and want to flaunt themselves, and it just absolutely sickens me. All right.
That's it.
I'm done. I can't keep going. I'm going to burst a blood vessel.
Well, and you're right. Unfortunately, you are right. The system as a whole is absolutely, it's terrible. I had some great teachers growing up, but I can name them all probably on one hand. And unfortunately, I think the system as a whole is absolutely broken. And I blame the unions, and I'm sorry, the Department of Education needs to just go bye-bye. That is the biggest, most absolutely abysmal bit of government oversight that I think we've ever invested in. And it needs to be done. The private schools and the charter schools have latched on to something. And the idea out there that they're better or worse, it doesn't really matter. The fact of the matter is you can measure a school simply by its students' performance. And yeah, right now that's testing. If you have another way out there, because I hear this all the time from teachers and other people saying that these Stanford 9 testing and all these others, which I don't even think we do Stanford 9 anymore, but all the testing metrics, that doesn't really give you a true picture. Okay, well then tell me, what's the true picture?
How should we do it? How should we measure?
If it's how are you going to get into college and rank and perform, right now, guess how that's done? You have to test into those classes. And if you can't make the test, then you can't demonstrate that you know the material. If you can come up with another way, great. And if it's good enough, we'll adopt it as a country. But right now, that's the measure. So when you've got schools that are failing and have failed, and we continue to throw money at it and throw money at them and throw money at them for what? Why not actually take the schools that are going, you're doing amazing. Can you get bigger? Can you double in size? Because I'm about ready to close this other school down because they're doing nothing but gobble up our tax dollars and gobble up our money and not educate the children who are relying on those schools to do it. You're doing a great job. Let's double you in size. Can you guys do that? That's where I think we ought to be looking. Because I do think there are good teachers out there. Unfortunately, I don't think there's enough of them. And the ones that are out there have a very small bubble of what they feel that they can actually control or impact. And the whole school system as a whole, it's a pretty big problem, and it is nationwide. And I don't think anybody out there would disagree with you that the education system we have right now is broken at best.
Well, then the administrative costs are through the roof. We spend hundreds of millions of dollars a year just on all of the administrative overhead in our school systems. When I was a kid, I remember, we had several thousands of students in elementary. This was before I went to private school. And this was K through sixth grade at the time. And the office had one principal, had one vice principal, had one secretary, and one nurse. And now everything is all computerized, and there are a lot of schools now that have a principal and then have 2 or 3 vice principals. And each of the principals and vice principals has 1 or 2 administrative assistants that help them do what? I have no idea. It's not like these are teachers going out there and having to, I have no idea why they need an administrative assistants, all of them. But then you walk in these public schools and there are 5 or 6 secretaries, office people, who knows what they do all day long for 8 hours. I have no idea what they're doing. But everything's computerized, so everything should be easier and faster. But yet we've increased the overall administrative costs. And then schools have all of these different counselors that are on campus that we have to pay for. And, I'm sure there are a lot of great people who are in our school systems who are not actually teachers. Everybody from the groundskeepers, the janitors, the office staff, I'm sure are great people, and I'm sure they're smart. They're just not involved in the classroom. Yeah, they want a job just like anybody else, but they're not part of the actual product called education. They only support the product of education.
Right.
But they're a wasteful position. Let's be honest. They're a wasteful position. Other than the janitorial staff, I don't think is a wasteful position.
No. Let's keep the janitors employed, especially at the elementary schools. But.
Yeah, because without the janitors, every place shuts down. I don't get. Probably the janitors are the most important role in any organization, because
you want to. Yeah. Let's talk about a job out there that is absolutely 100% essential that we should give angel wings to and should pay a heck of a lot more.
Yeah,
they are
facilities.
literally cleaning crap up off the floor after everyone else.
Yep. Any company, I don't care who you are, how big you are, any company loses their janitorial staff, that company would know it immediately within hours. Within hours. Those people, God love them, they're cleaning up behind everybody in those offices. And I guarantee you that if the janitorial staff were to quit and walk off, everybody would know it within about 2 hours.
Yep.
And everybody would be screaming and crying within about 2 hours. They are literally the most, there's like, in my opinion, when it comes to any organization, there's the CEO, and then there's the janitorial staff, and then everybody else comes after that. That's the order of importance. I don't care. That's the order of importance of any organization. CEO, janitor staff, everybody else.
I don't care how nice your office is. If the toilet clogs up, it shuts down until it gets done, until it gets handled.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. If anybody deserves a pay raise, it's those people, because those people keep keep the enterprise running. They do. They keep the enterprise running. I think we should pay the janitorial staff more in schools, and be my my honest opinion.
And there's a lot of superfluous jobs in there. You remember back in elementary school when your teacher got sick and the principal came in and talked? Did you ever have that?
Yeah.
Not now. Gosh, I mean, anybody's sick, then they call in a sub, and they've got another sub, and they've got extra subs coming in after those subs, and I mean, there's so many people floundering around the schools anymore. It's crazy. It's crazy. In elementary school, you're right. I knew literally all of the staff.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
That was gone by middle school, and the school was about the same size.
Right.
And it had half the grades. Because I went to my elementary school was K through 6. And my middle school was 7th and 8th. It was actually a junior high. I know, I take that back, because I went there for 7th grade and they just added 6th grade at that year. But there was 3 times the amount of staff there for, 3 grades?
Yeah.
And half the student volume? I mean, come on.
And what really bothers me about any time you get in these conversations about education, people invariably point to low-income families. And that really bothers me when that happens. I grew up in South Phoenix, in a very, very economically depressed neighborhood. It was very bad. People did not have a lot of money, but all of the families I knew, they valued education, and they did what they could to get their children educated. I transferred in 5th grade. I transferred into a private Catholic school that was pretty much like 90% Hispanic. Everybody that was there came from really poor parts of town, South Phoenix, West Phoenix. But parents, they sacrificed to send their children there. They sacrificed to pay the tuition. And these are families that were paying, they already owned homes, or maybe they were renting, but they were still paying property taxes, which was going to the public schools. And then on top of the property taxes they were paying to the public schools, they were paying tuition to send their children to a Catholic elementary school that went through from K through 8th grade. So just because you're poor, you find a way. Poor families will figure out a way to do it. It's not like, I get tired of when people talk about poor families as if it's just this massive amoeba of same thinking people. They're not that
No,
way.
no, that's absolute. That's laziness in actually looking at the problem. That's a
Right.
bunch of crap. And you know something I've noticed about especially the economically depressed families that you're referring to, when it comes to the money that they do have, they are extremely well versed in being able to prioritize and put actual dollar value to things of importance to them.
Yes.
And education comes into that. Now, I'm not going to make a blanket statement that every poor family out there values education as the highest importance. I'm not going to do that. But what I'm saying is to use that as an excuse that education, the value of education, is not up to that task. I don't think that's
No.
just false. That's just fallacy.
There was a documentary made a few years ago. I don't know if you've seen it. It's called Waiting for Superman. And I would encourage anybody who's interested in this topic to go out and watch it. And the documentary is really centered in New York City. And it talks about the education system in New York City and how absolutely shitastic the education system is in New York City. And the documentarians followed around several different families who were trying to get their children out of the public school system because the public school system is such shit. But these families they're poor families in New York City, in the Bronx and whatnot. And the parents are just doing anything and everything that they can, other than, stealing and murdering people, right? They're doing everything that they can to get their children into new charter schools because they want their children to be educated and to have a better life than they had. And it just goes to show you that just because you don't make a lot of money, you still prioritize things. Most Americans, they still prioritize those things of value. They make economic decisions that are right for their family. They may not have a lot of money to spend, but they spend what little money they do make and they do have, and they work hard for it. And these are people that we should celebrate. But gosh, I get so frustrated when having this kind of a debate or this conversation with a teacher says, yeah, but all the poor families, and they lump them all together as if these poor families are incapable of making decisions, are incapable of finding the best things for their own students or for their own children, are incapable of feeding them, and all this other crap. And I think, God, just because they're poor doesn't mean they're idiots. Just because they don't make a lot of money in revenue doesn't mean they're idiots. Doesn't mean they're hardworking. It doesn't mean that they don't care. It doesn't mean that they're incapable of providing for their families.
No.
They are. They absolutely are.
No, and there's no profile that sets that up either, whether that's your economics, and to lump them all together and say all poor families think this, that's just garbage. And I just disregard it. And I'll go so far, there's no racial makeup of economic status either. There are poor white families, there are poor Hispanic families, there are poor Black families. And to sit here and say that your economic status is also related to your race, which is also related to what you value, as far as your education of your children, that's racist, and it's segregatory. And I disregard that. Absolutely 100%. Some of, and I'm going to say there are some Black families that I was raised up in or around in, and I was raised in a very economically depressed area in South Tucson as well. There were some Black and Hispanic families in there that valued education 10 times what I could have even fathomed at the point. So don't give me that. And to think that and God bless my mom, she worked her butt off, and for the most part was a single earner family situation in South Tucson. And she worked really, really hard to make sure that we got what we needed. And it just pisses me off. I'm sorry. But, and I think that unfortunately the teachers and what you're talking about, just lumping everybody together in these kind of groups and not giving anybody the time of day to recognize them as individuals is kind of par for the course. And why I think these people and our kids are getting left behind anyway. And I hate that idea, that no child left behind kind of thing. But it's easier to say, well, that kid's part of a poor family and they're probably never going to go anywhere. It's sad. It breaks my heart. You just don't get it, but that's just the way it is. You know what? You don't deserve to be a teacher. You don't deserve to be a teacher. Trade places with the janitor, because I'm sure I would rather my kids learn from someone like that.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And the fact that teachers are now using COVID as a way to hold taxpayers hostage and local
That's
governments
disgusting.
hostage and say, we're not going to open schools until you pay us. To me, that's just a continued slap in the face. And yet these people are going to come back and they're going to ask me for more money. They're going to ask you for more money by putting measures on the ballot that we should vote for. And why should I?
Well,
Why
and
should I? When the product is crap.
Where did we empower some of these teachers to hold our children's education hostage like that? I don't understand it.
Yeah,
I don't care if you have a 10,000 teachers who are saying, we are not going to open the schools. Well, I'm sorry. Are you in breach of your contract then? You are refusing to go back to work? Well, yeah. Okay, then you're fired. You're
right.
gone. And I'm going to go find 10,000 more teachers.
There will be other people that will happily step in.
Absolutely.
Especially now, given the fact that the pandemic, the pandemic has caused so many businesses to shut down and so many layoffs to occur. If you've at least graduated from, you have a college degree, you can teach in the state of Arizona. Especially if all of the teachers were to be fired or quit. There will be people that will step in to fill that void. As I said, nature abhors a vacuum, and there will be other ways to educate children, and people will who are out of work will likely step up and say, you know what, I'll teach for a while. I don't have a job. Making the money of a teacher is at least better than not making any money.
Yeah, well, and nobody's forcing any of these teachers against their will to go into a biohazard war zone.
Correct. Don't do it.
Okay, you don't want to? Fine. Step out of the way. Anybody else want to? Oh, I'm in. I'll go teach. What do you need me to teach? You want me to do math? You want me to do Spanish? I don't know Spanish, but I'll learn it, and I'll do that. Come on. Nobody's forcing you. So don't give me this whole, we're not asking you to fall on the sword for your profession.
Right.
Just stop being an oppositionist and get out of the way so that our kids can get the education they want. And that goes back to the parents as well. Nobody's forcing you to take your child from home and put them in school where they're going to catch coronavirus and die. Nobody's forcing that. You don't want to take your kid back to school? Don't. You don't want to go teach at a school? Don't. But don't force everyone else to follow your fear in this situation.
Could you imagine if we cut people's taxes, we actually gave the money back to families and said, well, just take the extra money that you make and pay tuition to elementary schools for your kids. Could you imagine if the elementary schools were run, or K through 12 were run as like tuition based, and schools actually had to compete in the open market and show that they were a good school so that they could attract people from who knows where to to drop their kids off?
Sure. I have to do that with my kids' daycare.
Right.
They're so, we pulled our daughter a few years back out of a really crappy daycare and put her in a good one. And you know what? I had to pay for the crappy one until I got to pay for the good one. So what's the problem?
But teachers' heads would explode if we went to that particular model, because in teaching, the other thing here is the only way teachers can get extra money is they have to go shake down the taxpayers, because they don't get paid for an actual product or service. So unlike a university, for example, that charges tuition, right? You can get a pay raise based on whatever parameters the university puts in place, because, well, they're bilking all the students of the tuition money. Mm-hmm. Right. So they can offer, if they can present their university as offering a good deal for education and providing people with, educational futures or what have you, then other prospective students are going to want to attend their universities.
I actually had a idea on how to do this. Really short. So all of our schools are funded, taxpayer dollars, yours and mine, right?
Mhm.
If there was a bonus, we'll call it, awarded to schools for high test scores, high proficiency in the reading, writing, arithmetic, the 3 R's, um, and you actually got a performance bonus, which then would go to the teachers who actually had performance bonuses based on their students. And you actually turn that almost into like a commission structure. Sorry, that's the sales part of me talking. But you know what? Salesmen don't get paid a lot. They really don't.
Right.
Most of them don't have much of a salary. If you want a bonus, you want a raise, you have to go get it. You have to show better performance in order to do that. So why not put the teachers on a similar commission bonus? And I guarantee you performance is going to start improving. It has
Well,
to.
most of the teachers right now, they're just on the Uncle Sugar dollar. That's all they want. They just want their money from Uncle Sugar. They don't want to have to perform. That's part of the problem. They buck the trend. Hell, we've seen situations where teachers that where their jobs were on the line, or they were getting some kind of grades based on the performance of students. They're actually feeding the kids test answers. So that I mean, if you're a teacher who's just living off of Uncle Sugar and the gravy train, then there's no way you're going to put
You're going
your
to actually
career on the
work for
line.
it. Yeah, right.
How dare you trust the students you're supposed to teach to actually be educated? You better pad those numbers there.
Right. Yep.
Put some insurance.
You know what? Maybe the teachers have something here. Maybe the like the healthcare unions, like all the nurses who are and people up at the hospitals. Maybe they should take a lesson out of this book and say, "Hey, you're forcing us into a dangerous situation with COVID, so we're just going to not treat anybody in the hospital. We're just going to not show up, and the hospital's going to shut down until you give us a whole bunch of extra money."
You know who the true heroes
Good.
are of this whole pandemic thing, of this whole COVID thing?
I
Grocery
think
store employees.
you know I'm going to take it a step further. I think the true heroes are the blue collar Americans who are really trying to figure out how to just get by day to day in the
Yeah.
midst of all this crap.
Yeah.
And I mean that in all sincerity. Parents trying to figure out what to do with their kids and go to work or work from home and do that, and try to get actual factual information out of all this and figure out how they're going to run their lives. And yeah, those are my heroes. My neighbors are my heroes.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Well,
that's maybe a little bit too blue collar for all the intellectuals out there.
Well, I see you're drinking from the Washington football team cup, wearing the Washington football team hat.
Yep.
So
No, it's the Redskins,
Uh-huh.
and the Redskins will be my team forever in perpetuity. And because I'm not going to follow another team of pretty much any sport, probably from here on out.
Well, but you're done following them because they're no longer the Redskins anymore.
That's right. I'm just going to continue to collect my memorabilia, and right about the time my son or daughter, one of the two, is ready to go to college, I'll sell it all off and probably make some money off of it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we talked about that one, the whole teacher thing to death, and the COVID
No, you talked
stuff,
about
and
that one, but I appreciated it. Give me a break tonight.
They gave you. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, the whole topic. Every time we end up talking about or teachers and lack of pay or whatever comes up, I would be willing to pay teachers more money. I would be willing to give more of my taxpayers to the education system if the education system wasn't such crap. If we actually could see marked improvements in testing, in college entrance exams, children getting ready for high school as they get out of 8th grade and moving into high school, and we were seeing that performance, and we were seeing a steady performance of students, not just in the history class, but also in math and science and writing and, English and stuff like that, then maybe I would say, hey, those teachers are doing a great job and should get some extra money. But not right now. Don't come and ask me for money. I'm always gonna vote no. Although all the bleeding hearts will end up voting yes, because you want to do it for the children. But don't come talking to me for more money. I'm gonna vote no every single time. Every single time I'm voting no.
Yeah, if I thought for a minute it actually would improve the education of my children, then I would be all for it. But my teachers, for the most part, have always seemed so absolutely disconnected from the reality of the working world, that it's just hard for me. And yet those are the people that we trust our children's intellectual upbringing with every day. It's counterintuitive that way, but yeah.
All right. Well, I think that about does it for us. Fun show. I had a good time.
Me too.
I had a good time. It was a lot of fun. As always, remember, you can find all of our stuff over at fusionunderground.net, and especially on Facebook at facebook.com/AZFusionUnderground. Remember, we're on Twitter at the FU Brothers, and you can find us. You can find the audio version of this pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts. We're out there. Give a thumbs up to the show wherever it is that you might catch it. It helps us out. So for Jason Moret, I am Manuel Ramirez. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Take care, everybody.